Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be putting some new struts in my car, Bilstein's, as you can see. Fun fact, Bilstein is kind of one of the few companies that makes name brand struts for these. A lot of Chinese kind of knockoff type stuff. If you want something name brand, you're going to kind of be stuck with Bilstein, which isn't a bad thing to be stuck with. I shouldn't phrase it that way. All right, we are going to really start the job by popping the hood because we need to take off these little caps right here. Okay, there's one on the other side. Now for this entire video, guys, I'm gonna show you the front and rear on the one side of the car, and then you can kind of just, do the other side yourself. I might put it on a time lapse or something, but there's no reason for me to explain the same stuff multiple times. So that's what we'll do. First things first, we're gonna get an impact gun. We're gonna buzz this bolt off. This is gonna be a 24 millimeter. Take that off. Should come off without too much fanfare. Take this little top cap off, and we're gonna put this off to the side. Then we need to buzz the wheel off quick. 10 millimeter on the brake line bolt, mounting bolt. Take that off. Take your ABS line, ABS wire, I should say, off the bracket. Leave that there. Kind of has some memory, so we have to shove it to the side. This is a 24 millimeter here and there for the strut itself. You should come off relatively easily. Yeah, you might need a backer wrench. Using a 1-inch for this, not really the right size, but I don't have the right metric size. It's like a 20, it's weird. It's like a 25. I don't have a 25. But good enough. Okay. Now we're gonna push these bolts through with our persuasion tool. Some people call this a hammer. I guess doesn't matter either way. Whoa! Forgot to tell you that. We need to buzz the sway bar link off first. Oop. It's spinning in the joint. Afraid of that. That's annoying. Okay. We're gonna have to get an 8 mil wrench or ratchet on here. Do this the old fashioned way. That nut is just stuck enough, but not a big deal. We can do it. Just a little bit more elbow grease. Okay, that's a little better. Pull that off there. Now we can get the sway bar out, which is gonna be a little bit tricky because I already took the other stuff off. Not a big deal. And then this will pretty much just fly out. Get that bolt back out. Gonna relocate our light. And we got a strut. Simple as that. Just gotta kind of maneuver it outside the car. And there you go. All right, so we've got this loaded in the shop press. It's a little bit janky, to be honest, but all we need to do is just take a little bit of pressure off and make sure that this nut is loose. So you're gonna see now that I can actually turn this nut off by hand. And as long as you can do that, you're in good shape. And then what we're gonna do is very carefully release the pressure on the lift, on the dealio here. Gently. Gently. There we go. Gently. Okay, we should be good. Just like that, we've got our spring split with our strut. We got a whole bunch of random pieces in here. That just holds the cover on right there. We do need that one. And we do need this one. And we do need our nut. Don't lose any of those pieces. Those are important. Something like that. Okay, now we need to take the rubber piece out of the bottom of our old strut. I probably would have bought these if I kind of knew this was there, but I hadn't really thought about it. However, to be honest, this doesn't do a whole heck of a lot, so it's really not the worst thing in the world to have forgotten to buy. We'll just stick this in here. Then we take our spring, slide that bad boy on there. We're going to index it as it came off right there. And then we are going to take our new little top hat piece, whatever you want to call this. We're going to pull the spring retainer off the old one. These are in great shape, actually. This thing's in great shape too, but I already bought new ones, so we'll just replace them. Can't really hurt to replace it, I suppose. These are OEM GM. Nice. We'll index that the same way. And then we got to put on our bottom washer here. This guy goes like that. Sorry, it goes like that. So this goes this way, believe it or not. You can just see by the way that it is. And this goes on here. And what we're gonna need to do, probably, put this back on the press and just give her a little push. Nothing crazy, just a little guy. So I've come to realize this takes a very small amount of force actually to do. So I just kind of put it the backwards way on the press and we'll get the nut on there. I gotta move this over a little bit, but we should be able to do what I'm trying to do here. Not a big deal. These are relatively lightweight springs because it's not such a big car. If you're doing like a pickup truck or something, you may not get as lucky as I am, so be careful. But these don't have a ton of spring tension against them. And then we just gotta get to drive this all the way in. I'm gonna need a ratchet 4 or a... Perfect. Good enough. You don't gotta kill it. That thing's not gonna really wanna come out on its own, so you should be okay. Just kind of check and make sure everything's aligned nicely, which it is. And that's a new strut. Nice. All right, let's test the old one. Not totally terrible, but not great. It is leaking a little bit, which doesn't help. They're definitely just soft. I mean, I really shouldn't be able to like, yeah, actually, that's not doing so hot. So I just hosed that down in crown. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna put our strut back in gingerly so we don't catch any wires. And then we are going to put the bottom bolt in first. Okay, kind of let that sit there. Then we'll get our top bolt, kind of lever this up. I know I'm blocking your view, guys, sorry about that. We're gonna kind of lever this into position. There we go. And just like that, we're kind of roughly where we need to be. We're gonna go ahead, take our sway bar end link, fit that back into here. Make sure that's how we want it. That's good. Nice. Depending on your suspension package, they give you this bushing, which is meant for your sway bar end link. Okay. So depending on what you got for suspension, you may need this bushing on here. I don't with what I got, but just keep that in mind. So we'll shove that in there. Now we just gotta kind of tighten everything up. So I like to anti-seize everything. I don't even drive this car in winter, so it's incredibly overkill, but it helps me sleep better at night. So you do you. We're gonna go ahead, take our 10 mil, put our brake line mount back in place. That would help if there was a 10 mil on that ratchet. That was the 8 mil that we used earlier. We're gonna go ahead and do this guy. Now, for our sway bar end link, hopefully we can impact it on and not have to do the wrench method again. But I guess we'll see. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. Should go on easier. Oh yeah, that's not too bad. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, one more. Nice. Oh, loosen that back up. Oh, that's fun. Got the ratchet stuck. There we go. Nice. Okay, that's Gucci. Now we're gonna take our 24 millimeter, tighten these guys up. snug, but not too snug. That might be too snug. And then what I'm gonna try to do is just give this a really redneck alignment. So like that's way too far in. That's too far out. So I'm gonna try to just kind of get it centered. I'm gonna get the car aligned in 2 days anyway. I'm not gonna drive it between now and then, but just because. Make sure we don't have an issue. Those a good little brrr. Should be good. It's unlike the stock setup. This now has this dinky kind of plastic clip that you just shove onto that post. And then you take your line and you just do one of these. I mean, listen, it works. Like it's gonna stay where it needs to stay, but it just doesn't look quite as nice as the factory option. Don't know why they cheaped out on this, to be honest, but it'll get the job done, so whatever, not a huge deal. I mean, it's better than buying the OEM ones, and I say that because the OEM ones don't exist anymore for this car. So, you know, details. Go ahead and trim that. Ooh, scissors are getting dull. And that's it for the underneath the car part. I do still need to put the bolt and the nut in the top over there. So we're gonna actually go ahead and put the tire back on. Kind of give everything a quick once over. Don't think we damaged anything, don't have any issues. Let's just see what our brakes look like. Ooh, they're looking good. Looking like they're wearing pretty even. Oh yeah, nice, okay, so that's good. These brakes aren't that old, so I would hope they wouldn't be. But we'll go ahead, we'll put this tire on, we'll drop the car down a little bit, or I might just get on the stool and do it. But we'll get that nut in just so we don't forget. We should be off to the races. It's really not too bad of a job. Really just compressing the spring is gonna be the thing that you might struggle with if you're not familiar with doing suspension stuff like this. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you've got the proper tools and the knowledge on how to use them. You can go on YouTube. I'm sure you can find a spring compressor tutorial that will teach you that. Okay, so now I'm gonna give this just a little quick bump. Okay, that's tight anyway. It also gets sandwiched on here, so it's really not gonna go anywhere. But you know, just to have it. Then we're gonna take this guy, place that on there. And this will kind of self-center where it needs to go. There's really not a lot of movement anyway. Oh boy, just dropped that piece. That'll go there. This one goes on top. There is a torque spec for this that I probably will look up and actually torque to. All right guys, off camera, I got the other front wheel done. Went pretty darn smooth. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the back wheels. Same start of the process. Take your wheel off. Okay, we're gonna get a 15 mil. We're gonna take out the bolts that hold the top of the strut in. 1, 2. Just gonna do these with a wrench. I think it'll honestly be easier. Okay, there's one. And there's one more back there. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there. I'm gonna move the light again so I can get the wrench on it. Easy enough to get to with a regular wrench. Okay, and then that frees it up. You can see there. How you're gonna wanna do both sides at the same time with this, I think, because we're gonna need to be able to get the whole suspension to come down to get the distance we need. So go ahead and mimic what I'm doing on this side, on the other side, as I go through this. Go ahead and take the 22 millimeters off here. We're gonna take our favorite tool. Knock that baby out of there. We're gonna take an 18, buzz this guy off. Ah, come on, get on there. Holy crap, man. Oh. Okay, I'm just stripping it now. There we go. Don't do it that way. Get a freaking ratchet and do that right, please. Come on, you bastard. Oh, does it hit the road? No, we're good. Come on, there we go. You want to get a punch, drive these bolts out. Come on, baby. Oh, take it easy. I'm just gonna loosen the sway bar links for now. Might have to take them off, but we'll see. Stop it. Hoping I can get away with that. Again, both sides, so you get more clearance. Yeah, we might wind up coming right off with these. That might be the move, guys. Not quite sure here. I'm gonna probably take the sway bar out. Actually in good shape. I probably would have bought new ones if I knew I was doing this, but I didn't really expect to need to take this off. And then look at that, that'll come right off. So that's definitely the move. Just take the sway bar links off. So I would recommend buying new sway bar links. If you're gonna do this, I'll just make your life easier. We should be able to sneak this guy out. I think, I hope, I pray. No. Are you really? That's a bit of a pain. This top plate is huge. All right, let's regroup here. What are we doing, folks? There we go. Look at that. It's like giving birth to a baby. All right, we're gonna do the same thing. Might need to get a wobbler again. Sure do. There we go. All right, let's see. That should be good. I just need to get that socket. Let's try this, see if this kills me. Oh boy, I love that. Okay, that's spinning, so that's fantastic. Let's actually put some pressure back on it, see if that helps. Much straighter push. If that helps a little bit. We don't want to compress it too far. That's about as far as I think we're going to go, because if that thing kicks out, it's going to be a bad day for me. We're getting under some tension now. There we go. Yeah, this one's under a little bit more load than I'd like for using the press. But we're going to stand way back here. So, spring compressor might have been the move for this guy, but we'll make it work. Might run out of stroke on my press. Nope, we're good. Nice. That's perfect. Nice. A little sketchy. A little bit sketchy. That's okay. Sketchy is fun, as long as you don't die. That's always the problem with things that are sketchy, but whatever. Cool. Well, this is in amazingly good shape, to be honest. I'm tempted to reuse the OEM ones and not put the Mevotex on. So I'm going to do a little bit of soul searching on that. We'll be back. So I decided I'm going to use the new one, just for good measure. I'm going to try to lay this out the way that it goes, just so that I can understand. I'm going to leave this here, actually. These are just a tiny bit more confusing than the other side, than the fronts. Now we're going to note that the spring ends here on the bottom. We're going to line that up with there. So we're just going to not worry about the top, because obviously that'll fall into place as long as we keep the bottom nice and centered. There we go. We don't need these guys. These are for the stock ones only. So we'll put this on. Onto there. This is the stock thing, but we're not going to put that on because that's not part of these. Okay. I'll line that up the way that it was from the factor tree. And we'll line this guy up on here. Like that right there. And then this goes on this way. can tell because it's the way that it is. Now I'm gonna have to turn this up so that I can do what I gotta do. And then I'll drop this fella around here. Something like that. And then we're in good shape. That spring will compress up into the bracket there once we get the press on it. I think if we're smart about it, we can get it safely down. Hopefully. I hope, I pray. Going. Gonna give her the wiggle once in a while. Okay, very carefully. And then I'm gonna use the stock bolt because I like the way that it looks better. Although this is a nylock, so maybe I will use this one. Yeah, what the heck, I guess we'll use that one. Okay, all right, we're gonna use the new bolt just in case. Yeah, I think it was a different thread pitch. Well, I'm glad I checked. That would have been a real nightmare if I friggin' stripped that. These things are back ordered and it's a whole mess. Now we are going to fish this fella back in. In order to do that, I'm gonna have to put you guys, that might work. I need to be able to see and grab stuff. There we go. Sneak it right back up in there. All right. Now, one thing we're gonna have to do carefully, strategically, is we're gonna have to give the top of the strut a bit of a twist, just because it's hard to get everything to line up just so. So we're probably gonna have to stick a straight bar in here and just give that a quick kind of get those bolt holes to line up. But I wanna get the other one in place before I do that, so I don't start tightening this stuff down and wind up with issues. I know you can't see much. I'm just putting the other one in the exact same way. I just wanted to bring the camera up quick, just so you understand the order of operations, since now it's becoming important to do stuff on each side at the same time. So I just didn't want you to get confused. So we're gonna sneak this one up there the same way we did the last one. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stick the bolt in on the bottom. This will help me with my alignment stuff. Take the nut, put that on there loosely. And then we're gonna see if we can get the top to line up. We are going to take our first bolt, just try to find one of the holes here. I don't know where the heck I'm even going with this thing. There we go. Okay, so I'm hoping I can get enough rotation out of this to start this one without stripping the crap out of it. We're a little bit twisted kind of this way. So I gotta try to work with that a little bit. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna gingerly take the impact, see if I can start one without stripping it. I'm gonna be very, very careful. I'm not gonna be a monkey with the thing. But that one, then I can hold there. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so that's good. So leave that nice and loose. You can see if I start the next one behind it with the impact. And that'll get me pretty straight so that we can get the rest of them in. Perfect, okay, good. So what I've done is I snugged these two bolts a little bit, and I'm taking a long punch and just kind of prying this over to where it needs to be in relation to the hole. I think that'll do it for us, as long as I'm careful. Dang it. Let's see if I can persuade it with this fella. Just a little bit. Not stripping anything. Okay, that is going in pretty easily. Let me just see if it's straight. Looks pretty good to me. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten all these up, and we'll be back with you. I have the two bolts on the left-hand side done. Now we'll just grab the impact and we'll, whoa, gingerly tighten these guys. This is the larger bolt, which with the 22 millimeter head, not the 18 millimeter head. Anyway, keep that in mind. 22 mil. Give her the friggin' beans. There we go. That makes more sense that that's not sliding in comfortably. Now we're going to install the sway bar end links again. I personally decided to anti-seize the crap out of these. You do you, but I think it's worth doing because they like to rust underneath the sleeve areas and then they'll break. Again, I think it would be smart to replace these while you're here if you're doing this, but I don't have any and it's a 3-minute job if they do break, so I'm not worried about it. Is that not on there? That's it. It does bottom out, so you don't want to go crazy on that, or you will just rip the shaft of this thing right in half. So off camera, I did a little bit of an inspection just to make sure I didn't forget anything, considering I was talking a lot on camera and trying to do my, do everything sort of real time. So we're looking good. I'm gonna put the tires back on. I'm gonna get this thing on the ground. We're gonna do a torque the lug nuts. And then we're gonna go take her for a test drive. So stay tuned. All right, we got our first little test drive here. I will report in with you guys after I've driven in a little bit. I just kind of want to focus, listen for any noises and stuff like that. I'll let you know. All right, so I've put a few miles on it now. I hit a couple bumps that I, hit every single day on my commute, and I know how they feel. We're doing a lot better, folks. I'm gonna hold off, obviously, and do a full review of these at some point, but they definitely are better than the worn out stock ones. I don't know yet if they're better than the stock, but we'll kind of talk about that in the future. So that'll wrap this up. I hope this video helps. I didn't really see a lot of information on changing struts on these cars, so I'm hoping that this does make a difference for you. I'm gonna do a little cut in this video, and I wanna talk about kind of the different suspension setups these cars have. So there's what's called the FE5 package. It's an RPO code. You can find your RPO codes. They're kind of like in the trunk under the liner on these cars, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, if you have the FE5, you've got a ZL1 with the magnetic ride suspension. So all this process will be basically the same, except you're gonna have to take off a little electrical connector. And the electrical connector for the ZL1s are under the hood, or under the trunk, I believe. Not like by the wheel well for the rears. So keep that in mind. If you have a V6 car, I believe this process is still the same. You're just gonna have a little bit different suspension components under there than what I have. If you have a 1LE like I have, for the longest time I couldn't figure out what suspension this car needed compared to a regular SS, and the only difference is the damper itself is a different, stiffer damper. So you can use any SS strut that you want. You can also use any coilovers that fit an SS car, which is really good news. However, the only brand from what my research could tell that would give you equal or greater performance than the 1LE suspension was the Bilstein struts. So if you get any other brand, from what I understand anyway, they are a little bit softer dampening, more similar to the stock SS dampening, whereas this is more similar to the 1LE, or apparently greater than the 1LE dampening. So your car might ride a little stiffer. I can't say I notice a huge difference personally. Most of your stiffness kind of comes from spring rate anyway with a car. So yeah, that's where that's at. So anyway, that just is kind of some extra information I wanted to put in here before we ended the video off. Another thing I'd like to note, the 2010 to I believe 2012, or maybe just 2010 and 2011 cars had, SS cars I'm talking now, had a little bit different suspension setup than the newer ones, like the 13 to 15 or the 12 to 15. That was because, that's fucking sick, dude. Yes. That is because I should have put the camera on those cars. It was a Viper and a Cobra. Pretty friggin' sick. But anyway, The suspension setup was a little bit different. I believe the sway bar was slightly different. The control arms were slightly different. And that, from what I understand, was because when the ZL1 came out in 2012, so yeah, it would be 2010, 2011. When the ZL1 came out in 2012, the suspension had to change to accommodate whatever, I don't know, stronger spring rate or whatever the ZL1 needed, maybe just more stiffness in the suspension in general, like all the control arms and stuff. So they changed it up, and then they just carried that change over into the regular SS cars and the 1LE car. So yeah, slightly different there. That being said, I think this video will get you really close on one of those cars, and any subtle differences you can probably work through on your own, hopefully. I'm just really hoping this helps people, because like I said, I couldn't find a lot of information online about doing this job. So yeah. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. God bless America, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.